Nobody messes with someone who answers calmly and intelligently. Not because they speak louder, but because they stay in control. When someone provokes you, interrupts you, or talks over you, they often seem to win only because they create noise and chaos. But imagine doing the opposite. You stay calm, you don't raise your voice, you don't explain too much, and you don't get pulled into their drama. You say one clear and smart sentence, and suddenly they lose control and run out of words. The goal is not to win the argument, but to protect your dignity and your peace. Most people argue to dominate, not to understand. That is why loud people seem powerful in the moment. But Stoicism teaches a different strength, the strength to remain unshaken. Epictetus said we are disturbed not by events but by how we judge them, and Marcus Aurelius taught us to keep our mind steady like a rock hit by waves. When you react with anger, you give control to the other person, but when you respond calmly, you take it back. These replies are not insults or comebacks, they are boundaries, and one powerful example is saying, I don't need to raise my voice to be right, because it shows confidence without aggression and exposes the other person's insecurity. Another is saying, the way you're speaking says more about you than it does about me, which calmly reflects their behavior back to them without attacking. When spoken with calm and confidence, these words change the entire dynamic. People begin to watch what they say around you, because real power is not noise, it is self-control, clarity, and inner strength. You are choosing not to take in words and behavior that are not yours to carry. When someone insults you in front of others, they want a reaction. They want you to feel small, explain yourself, or lose control. But when you stay calm and say your words clearly without emotion, the insult loses its power, because insults only work when you accept them. When you don't accept them, they reveal the character of the person who spoke them. As Marcus Aurelius taught, the best response is to not become like the one who disrespects you. This is how you protect your character and your peace. You cannot control what others say, but you can control what it means to you. If you see disrespect as something about you, it hurts. But if you see it as something about them, you stay free, and freedom is what unsettles people the most. Before moving on, choose one calm line and imagine using it with a steady voice and relaxed face. Not to win, but to stay in control. And one of the strongest lines is this: we can talk when we can do it with respect. Because many conversations are traps where the other person interrupts, twists words, raises their voice, and pushes you to react, then blames you for the mess. Manipulators want you emotionally involved. But this simple sentence breaks the cycle. Said calmly, it is not a complaint or a request. It is a boundary. It shifts the conversation away from the topic and onto the basic condition for any conversation to exist. And when you calmly remove your consent to disrespect, the other person either corrects themselves or exposes their intentions. Either way, you protect your dignity without arguing, without explaining, and without losing your peace. The real strength is in keeping things simple, like a locked door that you don't argue at. You simply choose whether to open it or not, and there comes a moment when you realize the other person is not listening or trying to understand, but only trying to win, even if it costs your time, dignity, and peace. And most people stay in these situations because they want justice or closure, but you don't get closure from someone who feeds on conflict. So you calmly say, I'm not going to continue this conversation, and you leave, not with anger, not with drama, just control, because walking away from toxicity is not weakness. It is mastery over yourself and your attention. And your attention is valuable, so wasting it on chaos only steals your peace. And for disagreements that are not hostile, like with friends, family, or coworkers, you can stay firm without fighting by saying, that's your view, I respect it, but I don't share it, which shows you listened without giving up your position. This is emotional independence, the ability to respect others without letting them control your mind. And when you use these responses calmly and with the right tone, you stop reacting the way people expect, you change the situation, and over time people treat you differently. Not because you became aggressive, but because you became harder to manipulate, more grounded, more calm, and more in control of your inner world.